true to what you said on.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. I'm your host, Larry Ellison, in studio this morning with my co-host this morning. Helen is here. Helen Ritchie. Dr. Bradley is on the road. He just I was laughing because he sent me a picture of he's moving his daughter across country. She's attending med school. So he sent me all the luggage there, and that was just like 10 suitcases, and that was just his wife's weekend baggage. So,
Before we start, I just want to add for our listeners. So
your mic isn't on yet. Good. Yeah, good.
Oh, good. Just before we start, just wanted to, because the last segment that we had, just wanted to make sure that our listeners were aware with regards to the references that I made in terms of coming from, actually, the information with regards to Humphreys came from a former DEA agent right on Twitter. And then with the information with regards to Calla Walsh, it was actually reported in the news from news sources over there. So
All right.
just want to make sure they were aware.
All right. And we want to thank our sponsor, the Money Store. For all your mortgage needs, give branch manager Cora Holbrook a call at area code 508-345-4726. That's 508-345-4726. Matter of fact, you can give her a call in studio this morning. Cora is in live, and we have two guests with us here as well this morning. I want to say good morning to Kyle Moore, broker and owner of Xander Real Estate Group, current director of the GBA, won the Rising Star Award of Greater Boston Association of Realtors. Congratulations in 2023. And one of his realtors here, we're going to get her mic'd up so folks, you can't hear you right now, but Natasha Smith Duran is a broker with realtor. I'm sorry, a realtor with Xander Real Estate and a community. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. And community activist. So we're going to be a family circle here this morning. So I want to say good morning and welcome to the round table with MAMLEO.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. No, thank you for coming. It's early, so we always appreciate when folks can come in studio, so thank you for that. But also, a lot going on in the real estate world, especially with the influx of what's happening around the world. And I know that affects real estate interest rates, so it also affects people's ability to buy. So it's always important, particularly in our community, that we're seeing, particularly communities of color, that were kind of, not saying neglected, but overlooked for years. Now they're being priced out of neighborhoods that they grew up in. But I think what was also fascinating to me was finding out really how many people in our community were renters and not owners, because when you're an owner, you can decide your fate. But when you're renting, the owner decides whether or not you're going to go, and they don't have to give you notice that they're selling, other than that the realtor's coming in to show the place. We give you that 24-hour notice. So again, I want to thank you guys, and we'll start with you. Just give folks a little introduction of who you are and where your company is. And this is Kyle Moore. Good morning.
Good morning. Again, thank you guys for having us here. We appreciate the opportunity. But a little bit about myself, as you mentioned, so it's Kyle Zine Moore. Okay. But yes, I am the broker owner of Xander Realty Group. I myself have been in the industry for about 12 years now. I've had the company for about 6. We are located in Stoughton, Massachusetts, is where our headquarters is, but we service all of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. We have a team of about 50 agents now. Wow. And we have been the #1 office in Stoughton for the last 2 years. So I'm thankful for that. As well as you mentioned, I am on the board of directors for the Greater Boston Association of Realtors, as well as the Greater Boston Real Estate Board. I've been serving on both of those boards for the last 3 years. So I'm excited to be here and to contribute anywhere that I can. Thank you again.
Right, thank you for that. And Natasha, come on up to the mic there.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for having me here on the show this morning. My name is Natasha Smith Duran. I am also a realtor with Xander Realty Group. I've been in real estate for at least the last 7 years, doing accounting previously, but I thought it was very important to pivot and really educate my clients and educate people that look like me, live in these communities, and like you said, are getting priced out. So I'm very big on educating and finding the resources for these different clientele that may be priced out and don't know about different ways to get home ownership and really, utilize these different resources.
Oh, great. So again, folks, if you want to join the conversation, call-in number here, it's early, 617-282-0685 is the number, 617-282-0685. So I want to kind of start with the basics, right? Because I think like folks think buying a home is like buying a car, right? Right, and you go out and you see the one you like, and it's just not that, and you have it in a day or two, right? The process is a lot lengthier, a lot longer, but there's a lot of steps you need to get to before you even get there. So whichever one you feel, take it. Kyle and Natasha,
and then also for our listeners that may not be familiar with CORE.
Yeah.
No,
I'm a regular here.
Yeah,
so,
she is. Cora is part of the family, so she's going to get into the numbers. But what's the first steps that someone who's thinking about buying a home should do? I've been through that process, and I know a lot of times folks don't understand. And I give you a quick example is because I've been a police officer for a long time. A lot of the young officers, when they first come on, they run out and buy a car. Right, and then when they go to talk to Cora and they realize that is not an asset, it's a liability. So
it's still happening.
Exactly. We're trying to get folks course corrected to what is an investment and what is a liability. So what would you advise someone who's thinking of buying a home? I'll go ladies first.
So for someone that's thinking about buying a home, the top 3 things that I always tell them is to evaluate their budget, look at their credit, and then what they have saved. So I think those are the number one things. A lot of people, they think they need 20% and they need $40,000 and $50,000, but then when they come and sit down with the realtor or a lender, that's when they get educated about the realistic process in which they can go and buy a house and what those numbers look like for them.
So should the first step be sitting down with Cora on the numbers before they go looking for a house, so they kind of know how much house they can buy?
So that definitely makes a lot of sense. Sometimes we try to alleviate the lenders because they have a lot of different clienteles and partners that they're working with. So as realtors, we try to safeguard before we send them to a lender and really have that conversation with them. And we call it a buyer strategy call. So we do a whole strategy call. We sit and we talk to them about their timeline, the different resources they have, and then maybe we're talking about different programs that could help them if they qualify. So we really deep dive into their personal picture and sit down and tell them.
So before we get back to Kyle, and then we're going to go to Cora, I want to just expand on what you were saying about, because a lot of people think they need 20%, and then there are programs. So can you just expound a little bit more on someone who may not have 20%? There are ways to get into home ownership.
Yes. So funny enough, in the office they call me Tasha Taught Me.
Tasha Taught Me. I like that.
I like to teach. I like to educate. So I'm a big advocate of finding these different resources. So I do a lot of work with a lot of the agencies in the Dorchester area, South Shore, North Shore as well. And so what I do is we talk about my client's profile, what their finances look like, what their credit looks like, and then I'll pivot them and partner them up with the program that they might qualify for. So you don't need 20%. Most times you need 3.5% or 5%. But with a lot of these different agencies, they are paying 2% of the down payment. So I've had clients that have closed on homes with as little as $10,000 because I was able to stack up these different programs and get them seller concessions as well.
So you're able to find them funding through programs to help offset what they need to come up. So it still comes up to the same thing. So actually by doing that, you're helping them to borrow, well, not borrow, but to get money that they don't have to pay back.
Yes.
And that's key. And a lot of folks, see, this is why this broadcast like this is so important, because a lot of people don't know that. And let's face it, I grew up in my home. I was the first one in my home to buy a home. My mom didn't because it wasn't affordable, right? So we all know. So we can't do what we're not taught, right? Yes. I was go open a bank account, and I told my first job, I went after my summer job, put my money in the bank. I thought I was going to be rich. I went back the next week. 2 weeks later, it was 16 cents in there. I'm like, what is this? But every real estate investment I've made has been pretty lucrative or profitable. It's a better success rate, I should say, than that. So Kyle, where you're located in Stoughton,
correct?
But I'm assuming you do a lot of business in the Boston area.
Yes, I live in Boston. I'm born and raised. So the office I own is in Stoughton.
Okay.
But I live in Boston. I'm still born and raised in
Dorchester. You're a young guy to see the owner. Congrats. I mean, that's. I'm glad to see that. I didn't know. Matter of fact, I have to send some business your way. You and Natasha. How'd you get into real estate? Because you're a young man. I mean, you're not the owner. No, really.
Thank you. To be completely honest with you, Just perfect timing. I happened to be on social media. I was watching a video on WorldStar one day, and it was a gentleman. Actually, it was a gentleman in the back of a Rolls Royce. He was in a suit, and he was speaking to our community. And he was more so just trying to get the point across that there are young people in our community every day that are making decisions that don't necessarily help them out or help further their lives. And he was pretty much getting across, hey, I'm in an industry where I can make a ton of money, I can control my destiny, and I don't have to make unnecessary decisions. And in listening to that, it was like, okay, well, what industry is he in? And it finally came out that he was in real estate, and I'd never seen a Rolls Royce. I didn't own any suits or anything like that. So I wanted to learn more about real estate, and in delving more into the real estate industry and learning more about what realtors can do and how they affect the community. And my mom had also purchased a house, so I seen already firsthand how that changed the trajectory of my family and what it did for her and how she was able to provide for us. So upon learning that and learning more about the industry, it was kind of like a no-brainer. I happened to be taking classes at Massasoit Community College, and I found out that they offered the real estate course there. It was the best $400 I've ever spent.
Okay. No, and to your point there, because there was an article that came out probably almost 20 years ago now, where the Boston Globe did a spotlight on black wealth in Boston, right? And they said the net worth of black Boston, and specifically black, was $8 compared to $250,000 at the time for white Boston. And folks were immediately saying, "Oh, see, white people get better jobs than we do." I'm like, and I bought my first home at 19 because
that's dope.
Thank you. No, because I had a mentor who brought me on board, because I would have never, if it, based on my circle of people, that wasn't even something I thought was attainable, right? And I say that because immediately when they said that, I knew it had nothing to do with a job. As you said to that guy in the Rolls Royce, it had to do with real estate, because someone who bought that home 30 years ago for less than $100,000, and now that home, and the average price for Boston is close to $1 million. That's where that wealth is being generated, right?
1,000%.
And a lot of folks, when you've been paying rent for 30 years, all you take is your furniture, right? There's no equity.
And it's like you said, you had a mentor, right? So somebody had to teach you, somebody had to educate you and let you know as to what are the different avenues out there, right? What are the ways that somebody who doesn't know anything, can get into that to be able to build their wealth so that it's sustainable, so it can pass on to generations and help, their family to kind of keep moving on up.
1,000%.
No, absolutely. So again, it's been very difficult, I think, because now people think that, like when Natasha was talking about their programs, people just that it's not affordable, that it's out of their reach, because they're saying, man, I should have done this a while ago, but now it's too late. And it's never too late if you don't do it. So I want to pivot to Cora for a second. Cora, where are we at today with interest rates? Because I know with all this instability in the world, it's affecting interest rates as well, right? So on an average 30-year, where are we at today with someone looking to...
We're already, in some cases, depending on, of course, the credit, we're already below 6%.
Oh, below, okay.
Yeah, and for some with challenges, not really, but average credit, you're looking at a little above 6%.
So
but
6%.
Definitely.
But that's what a credit score somewhere in what neighborhood of what?
Oh, we're looking at least a minimum of, for those looking for interest rates below 6%, we're looking at above 700.
Okay.
And for those who are below 700, you're already looking at this is a little above 6 up to 6.5 perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Corey, you've been offering, I think one of the greatest things that you do, there are many, is you do the first time home buyers workshops, right?
Yes.
Do you have any coming up, or explain a little bit about what people can get out of that, because that's important. I think it's like you have to take a driving lessons before you drive a car.
Yes.
Everyone wants to go drive the car without not having any ability of understanding how to even turn it on. Because I know I get in a new car today, and I don't even know what button to push. So
they don't even have key slots.
Yeah,
exactly.
So like what our friend here, Natasha, mentioned, education is first.
Mm-hmm.
You got to learn more about the process, the entire process, and how you would get qualified, how you would even get the keys at the end of the process, right?
Wow.
So there's a lot more involved. A lot of people are going online to get information, but there's a lot of things that's happening in between. It's not just about, I have a good, I took care of my credit. That's very good. That's really the first three things. It's really the credit, if you have a job, and if you have, savings. Those are the first few things that you really have to, and budgeting, you have to really budget your money, and that's what we teach in the homebuyer classes. Last year we did around 6 homebuyer classes around here in Boston, and we really get a good traction, and it's surprisingly a lot of people are surprised about a lot of things that they've been hearing in the class, and that they normally won't get from anyone.
So I have a couple questions.
Yes.
One, do you have any first-time homebuyer courses that are coming
Yeah,
up?
we're trying to get one this March, and it'll be at the Mattapan Library. We should have done it in February, but it didn't happen
So
because
also-
of the snow.
Because Helen is down in Rhode Island. I was going to ask you, is it something like she could work with coordinating something down in
Yes,
the neighborhood? where
absolutely.
Tell people
I am licensed in Rhode Island. I've been working around Rhode Island
And
since
I heard you say you were
2003,
licensed
believe it
in
or
Rhode
not.
Island as well.
Okay. And then the
Yes.
other question that I had with regards to that I think would be helpful to our listeners too is, what have you been coming up with these first-time homebuyer classes? What comes up as kind of like the most frequently asked questions, the most frequent barriers that people come
Yes.
across, the most frequent things that, say, for example, someone goes, "Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that." What has come up in this
And to
process?
Helen's point, and then we're going to grab this call. A lot of folks, there was redlining going on. Now, you guys are too young to know what that is. But basically, there were barriers if you were a person of color to get a mortgage in neighborhoods. And now, the construction, everything going on. So to Helen's point, what are some of the things that...
Well, the most common, of course, would be credit.
Okay.
And a lot of people are afraid of taking the first step because they think their credit is not good enough. And that's why it's very important that we educate them about credit. There's a lot of solutions. That's the least problem that they should have it's fixing credit is very fixable. And then the second issue is affordability. Around here in Boston, there's a lot of affordable housing units, and not a lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I bring in resources to, identify where are these affordable housing units.
Okay.
And the third, one more,
Yep.
is down payment. Because a lot of them, especially nowadays with inflation, not a lot of people are saving money. There's a lot of down payment assistance available.
And one of the things, before we grab this call, you always talk about as well is that sometimes it's, pooling your money together with maybe a family member that, because I think we always want that mansion, right? We want to start out and instead of maybe it might be a condo, it might be a townhouse, something that we can afford.
Just to get started.
To get in there because
Gotta work your way up.
Build the equity, right?
Yes.
It's like, but we tend to want the Rolls Royce, instead of, the Toyota.
You got to start somewhere. That's the biggest
Yeah.
Well,
thing.
they
I
don't
always tell
say
people you
crawl
got to
before you can walk, right?
that, but at some point you have to join the parade, or you're going to watch it walk by.
I like
Yes.
that. I like that.
I like
All
that.
Let me write that down. Write that down.
and
This
it's-
thing
and
rise
it's
beyond his
interesting-
years.
Yeah, and it's interesting to say because I live in Rhode Island and also live in Massachusetts as well, so I spend my time kind of half and half. So it is interesting to see like the different real estate markets. I think Larry mentioned it earlier on as well. And how have you seen how between the different states, like the regulations and the laws from each state, from say between Massachusetts and Rhode Island, where how that's impacted?
Not even necessarily
people's,
just the
like-
states, town to town.
Yeah.
True.
There's a lot. I think it is very interesting to see how it differs, not only from state to state, but from town to town, because that's where you get to learn the nuances from different communities and why people choose to live where they choose to live. To me, it's very interesting to see just the differences.
Yeah. Let's grab this call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the roundtable.
I have a question for your guest.
Okay.
And my question is, where
You
can
can
I
speak up
find
a little
more-
so I can barely hear you. Yeah.
Where can I find more information about down payment assistance?
Okay.
Ooh, great question. I'm gonna pass this to Tasha, but what I will say is if you go to xanderrealtygroup.com, we actually have a page on there that actually you can apply and learn about all of the down payment assistance programs on there.
One more time, that website.
xanderrealtygroup.com,
Okay.
and there's a
With
page
it.
on there where you can go
Next to
and
it.
click on the down payment assistance tab, and it breaks everything down for you.
So Xander with the Z.
Correct. Xander with
Just
a
to
Z.
make sure.
ZRG.
Natasha? Yeah, because
Yeah,
you know, you
so,
said he heard you say Natasha taught me.
Oh, okay, yes. So there is a lot of down payment assistance, and it does come in various forms. So there are grants where you don't have to pay the money back. There are down payment assistance in the form of soft seconds, which means it has a lower interest rate on it, and you pay it back either when you
So I was like, tell them it's a second mortgage.
Yes, a second mortgage.
Yeah.
So you either pay it back once you go to sell the home or just over time. But they really do work with you when it comes to the down payment assistance. And then one of the great things is that you can stack this down payment assistance. So right now I have a buyer that's actually supposed to be purchasing in Hyde Park, and she's getting over $55,000 in down payment assistance.
Wow. And that doesn't have to be paid back through these programs?
No, so
That is
25 of it
phenomenal.
doesn't have to be
No,
paid back.
let me ask you a question before we go. Is there, like, a lot of times with those programs, there are stipulations, like if you sell, or is there any restrictions on when you receive that money? I know, like with city programs, people think it's a great deal, but then when they get locked in, they find out that really they don't own the house as much as they thought. Is this,
Yes.
are these programs designed in that same way?
So some of them are. There is a really great program with Maha Stash. They are giving up to $20,000 to homeowners that want to purchase in Boston, and then outside of Boston, it's around $10,000. But that's money you don't have to pay back.
Okay.
So that can go simply towards closing costs, down payment assistance, and now you're looking at a $500,000 home, and instead of putting down over $15,000, now you're putting down closer to maybe $5,000 or $6,000.
And you
So
still have a
is that
full time.
is the purpose of these programs? Are they trying to just get people like starting like they're trying to get families, trying to get what are they trying to do to get people to
So just
buy
more
in the
so,
city?
yes,
Be
trying
able
to get like first-time home buyers to give them a chance to get a piece of the pie in a way. They don't have $20,000 or $30,000 or even $40,000 saved. So if we can pay your down payment and you can cover your closing costs, then now you can get into a home and you're still paying around that average price point of what rent is in Boston.
All right. So, Carla, where are you at in this process? Are you still exploring the options, or are you ready to contact these folks, Natasha and Kyle, to move in the next step? Where are you at? So maybe they can be a little bit more specific to your situation.
Well, I just got the homeowner certificate, but
Okay.
it's going to last next year because they just slashed it from 3 to 2. So I'm in a really, really tight deadline.
Have you been looking at homes? And I'm sure the price is sticker shock, right?
I've been looking in Boston, and
So that's
it's
another
way
thing.
beyond my range right now. Well,
So that's another question, because we talked about that. We've had guests on before, and sometimes we may not be able to be in the neighborhood that we want to be in, right? And we may have to venture out and maybe make our way back. But to build up some equity, they would say you buy the best home in the worst, not the the worst home in the best neighborhood. So maybe Boston right now, because I know when I was buying properties in Boston for little pennies on a dollar, those same properties now I look at them and they're just I couldn't afford to buy them today. To the caller, should he be looking in other areas? Are there any suggestions of neighborhoods that might be, like, if you don't mind sharing, do you have like a price range where you've been qualified for, so that maybe they could help you with their knowledge of neighborhoods that might fit your price?
I don't want to share the information on the air
Okay,
right now.
no, that's fair enough. No, I'm not talking about exactly, but just like, some people are pre-qualified for $600,000. Are there neighborhoods? Let's just use that number just for sake. Is there an area where he could probably find a home outside of Boston, most likely, for $600,000?
Well, it depends. I would say yes, but it really just depends on exactly what it is that he's looking for. Obviously, I didn't hear the exact question, but in that, and where we normally start is we meet people where they're at. So like Tasha mentioned with our strategy session, we're trying to get an understanding of what your goals are, long term and short term, and what it is that you're trying to actually accomplish. So now say somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I'm only approved for $600,000. I'm looking for a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and I need it to ideally be in the city of Boston. Well, we're going to have a hard conversation, because in that, it's going to be hard to find that. Not to say that it doesn't exist, but it may be be hard to find it. It may be something that requires a little bit of TLC. It may be something that might not necessarily be the ideal situation, but the house may have the bones that you're looking for. It may be something that you can update or do whatever it is, but we might have to get creative to acquire that. We might need to find a seller that's willing to play ball. Now, conversely, if you take that and drag that house outside of Boston and we go maybe 30 minutes down the highway or 40 minutes down the highway, we may find something that hits that exact number, fits that bill, and checks all the boxes, but obviously it's not in Boston. It might not be the ideal location. We may have that conversation and say, okay, well, let's see how creative we can get. What can we acquire that may make sense for you, still fit the lifestyle that you're looking for, and give you the opportunity so that way you can buy the house that you want in the next couple of years, whether that be 3 to 5 years, whether that be within 10 years, which is why we start with what are your goals long-term, short-term. Is this your forever home? Are you looking for something that you can just plant and be there for the next 10, 15 years? Or are you open to making changes to something, building up some sweat equity? I think really once we understand what someone's situation is, then we're better able to advise them on their specific scenario. It's tough to generalize.
No, that's a lot, but that's a lot of great information here. So, caller, is that helpful in you trying to make a decision on the next steps for you? Because you said you've had your certificate, and it seems to like the clock is ticking on that, and you probably need to make a decision fairly soon about trying to make a purchase. And I think these folks are probably the folks you need to be sitting down with.
Well, I think my question also for the caller is, have you actually aligned with someone, whether it be myself or Tasha, have you aligned with someone to actually help you in this scenario? Because I do think that a lot of times not just we, but consumers try to not attach to a realtor. A lot of times you get realtors that have commission breath and they only focus on the sale. And they only focus on the sale. And they're not necessarily there to educate and help, which then leads the consumers to not want to attach to them and kind of do the search on their own and not necessarily get far. So I guess my question is, have you attached yourself to anybody? Are you working with somebody that is at least assisting you in a professional realm and working this search?
I haven't attached myself to a realtor yet that's in it to help me. I know they have to get paid. It's about money. I get that. But right now, no. And also, when it comes to looking for other people to help me, I'm basically in the darker.
Well, I would say in short form, it doesn't have to necessarily be that way. If you are open, we don't mind speaking with you, and whether you hire us or not, I don't mind speaking with you and answering any specific or particular questions to your scenario. Obviously, we don't have to do this over the radio, but I do think that there is value in aligning yourself with somebody. And it, of course, people have to get paid, but for me, it's not about a paycheck. I lead with that because I know a lot of times that's the barrier to entry in speaking to people. So I'd rather just talk about the elephant in the room. I know that comes with it, and a lot of times that's why consumers try to shy away from speaking with realtors, is because they know they're going to be obligated or they're going to be asked to be open to paying somebody. But for me, I don't care about that. I care to make it worth your while. So I'm open to having a conversation and helping point you in the right direction, whether you choose to hire us or work with anybody else. You at least deserve to get the information that you need to make an educated decision.
Yeah, they're not used car salesmen. In a bad rap.
Well, Larry, on the flip side, excuse me, I mean, we're talking about high prices of real estate here in Boston because let's face it, it's been gentrified, right?
1,000%.
But there's also another side, which is the affordable housing units that are available and very, very affordable. And like in any building, I've closed a few already, and in any building around Boston that's that's normally sells for $600 and above, they are required to have at least 10% of the units in the building and set aside for affordable housing units. And this would cost like 30% less than what's selling in the market. But to
that point, though, because I know folks have said it, but it's like you're competing with this, for maybe 2 units in a building, and you've got 5,000 people trying to get their foot in the door.
It's really a first come, first serve.
Right, and then there are a lot of factors, right? Who's got a better credit score or able to pull the trigger.
Well, it's still worth at least checking. And seeing if
absolutely.
There's actually
bar none is worth checking, but we always educate people all the time in those scenarios. one, there's not enough affordable housing.
Yes.
While there are regulations that mandate that buildings have to have it,
Mhm.
still at the end of the day, for the number of buyers that are in the community, there's not enough affordable housing.
Is
But
affordable housing listed somewhere? Is there like a public notice or
Yes.
announcement? or something
It's
along
you
those
know it's
lines?
like when you see those
The fine print?
advertisements. It's like you can barely
It's
see
in the fine
it.
print.
It's in the
Yeah.
fine print. But also, those are the ones that usually come with a lot of those restrictions.
1,000,
right?
and that's
Yes.
what I was getting ready to get
Yeah.
at. Is they're nice on the surface level, and we have a conversation, and bar none, it's worth considering if it's the only option. But on the other side of it is, and we sell quite a few, but the other side of it is, I find myself educating people and say, again, back to long-term goals.
Yes.
Are you buying a piece of property because you want to take a part in the benefits of appreciation? Are you buying something in the city of Boston because you know it's a desirable location and you'll be able to get a return on your investment in 10, 20, 30 years from now?
Right.
And most people want that,
Right.
but when it comes to buying these affordable houses, you don't get that opportunity.
Right.
Because they have to stay affordable. So they appreciate at a certain percentage, which is typically
Yes.
about 5% per year.
And you're locked in.
And you're locked in. And now, like, I'll give you a perfect example. I had a friend, we were searching for houses. He wanted to buy a house, and he too wanted to take advantage of the appreciation and be in the city of Boston. And we came across this perfect affordable house, and he fell in love. And I'm like, hey, I found myself talking. I'm like, hey, look, you told me your goals. You want to do X, Y, Z. You're not going to be able to do that with this house. It's a very beautiful house, and everything changed. And he said, you know what? Yes, I want to do all of those things, but this is something that I can have. I can plant. I can grow my daughter here in the city of Boston, and when she's a first-time home buyer, I can then sell the house to her.
Right.
She can have something that's affordable,
Right.
and I can go figure out what my plans are after that.
But see,
And I gave
you've
him about a
educated.
12-year runway.
You gave him the education, like I said, and he said, "Okay, I'm committed to be in a long term."
Yeah.
But so if you're looking to sell in 3 or 4 years, it's not.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's an ideal plan. Not to say that you can't get in and make a decision and plans change later. But depending on your scenario, it may not necessarily be an ideal plan.
All right, the phones are lighting up with you folks. let's grab this other caller. I hope that answered it for you. We've got some other calls we want to take, and you have their information, so please reach out to them. I clearly they have the information that you need, and it definitely, like I said, they're not asking for a commitment.
Am I
They're
allowed to give my phone number?
Absolutely.
And if anybody's listening and they want to have a conversation, please give me a call. My number is 617-405-8030. Again, 617-405-8030.
All right.
Again, my name is Kyle. You can call me, text me. I'm here to help.
Yeah, and you're helping. Clearly, the lines are lit up. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round table.
Good morning. I was just wondering, like, as far as like first-time home buyers,
You have to speak up.
Is there a possibility of you purchasing an income-producing property to help with the mortgage payment?
So I know Tatasha didn't
Yes.
hear,
That's a
but he
great
was
question.
asking if, as a first-time home buyer, are you able to buy a multiple income
Well, you said an
property?
investment
property is your first.
I guess while you get set up for that, I guess my question to that question, just to make sure, are you saying as a first time home buyer to purchase a property strictly for investment, or are you saying a property that you could live in and has an investment component to it?
I'll convey what he says.
Yeah, to live in and have an investment.
To live in and have an
Okay,
investment.
so like a multifamily.
Yeah.
Yes, so definitely as a first-time home buyer, you can purchase a multifamily, as your first home. So that is something you can do. And when we work with first-time home buyers that are looking to be landlords / investors as well, that's a whole different realm. When it comes to, what you need, there are different things that you need for the specific loan. It's a little bit different. So we sit down and really assess what the rental market looks like as well. And then we talk with the lender, so that way we make sure it's a good investment and you have some sort of return.
And to
as
that
well.
point, because when you get in an investment property, that also helps you to be able to acquire, because they take that into consideration when you're
Yes.
going to see Cora. If you've got $1,500 a month coming in rent, that's going to help you to be able to qualify
Yes.
a little better than if you're just taking everything on by yourself.
Yes.
I would say, though, that there are some restrictions. If they only qualify for a government loan like FHA, they can't. There is, and if they 1 to 2 family is good, it's okay, but when it comes to 3 to 4, there is a what do you call it?
Self-sufficient.
The self-sufficiency test.
Oh.
Yes, and
See if you
you
can
want to
afford-
make sure that the rental income of the property will be sufficient to pay for the entire mortgage. So when we do the self-sufficiency test, we take all of the rental of all the units, even though you're occupying it, and match it against the expenses and the rental versus the expenses.
Yes.
So,
And then you also need reserves as well. which
yes,
is
you need
Another
reserves.
layer of savings to have
Yes,
when it comes
2
to
months reserves at least, and the minimum down payment on a multifamily is at least 5%, and so that's the thing that you're facing. So, and you must have at least 3% of your own money if you're trying to get a loan. So those are just the restrictions.
So I'm
You have to
curious,
be aware.
so is this the kind of conversation that you have with buyers that you mentioned? And you have that buyer
Yes.
strategy session, so you sit down with them
1000%.
and ask them what their goals are, like you mentioned earlier, Kyle, and then what it is that they're looking for, what it is that they're, in terms of what their needs are.
Yes.
1000%. A lot of times we're having this conversation because people want the very nice 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single family, but in order to get it, you have to get some of those investment properties to balance it
Or
out.
you might have to start with the 1-bedroom.
Yeah, or you might have to start with the 1-bedroom, a condo.
Yeah.
I had a client that purchased a condo and appreciated $200,000 in a couple
Exactly.
years. They sold that and purchased the 3-family that they
Exactly.
wanted.
And sometimes,
And having,
right.
and having owned a condo previously in
Flexibility.
the city before, it's like, watch out for those condo fees,
Yes.
special
Yes.
assessments,
Yeah, that's-
things you gotta watch out for, really look out the reserves of the
and
condo
that
association.
affects your monthly payment.
Yeah, exactly.
Caller, stand by. We're going to grab this other call. Good morning. Welcome to the roundtable.
Yes, good morning. This is T. Michael Thomas. How you guys doing?
Good morning, T. Michael.
I would like to chime in on that conversation.
Go ahead.
To solve some of those issues with housing, that the city needs to stop allocating most of the properties to the CDC and allow the residents
No, that's not.
to have affordable home ownership, or like you said, even if it's a 1-bedroom. Each CDC has over 400 multi-unit properties. Look around the city, all those big, bulky brick and stone buildings. Why are they all rental, the same corporation? Why aren't they designated for ownership of the residents?
So T.
That's
Michael,
the solution.
you said ECDC, is it, what does
CD.
it stand for?
CDC.
CDC.
Oh, CDC.
Community Development
Corporation,
Yeah,
yes.
Right. So I don't know if you guys heard the bulk of that. He's talking about properties that the city owns, CDC properties, those being available for people to purchase rather than rent. Is that it, T. Michael?
No, the
Or-
city do not own them.
They don't own
The
them.
city, the state, the feds, at one point, the city turned them over to the the CDCs.
Okay.
The city of Boston, it used to call D&D, Neighborhood Development, etc. They turned them over
Mhm.
to these corporations
Yeah.
the last 20 years.
Okay.
Follow the money.
Yeah. Follow the money is always always the answer to everything. No, I mean whoever wants to take that or
I think that's a hard question for me to
for the
answer.
real
only
estate,
because,
right.
Yeah, only because
it's not.
it's hard to police what somebody does with a privately owned building. I think once it is owned by the city or the federal government, they have a choice on what it is they want to do or what they could do based on resources. And I'm with you there. But once they relinquish those rights and they give up that property, it's hard to police what somebody does. Now, obviously, there are restrictions on how many affordable houses and things like that need to be offered. And even when somebody builds a rental unit, sometimes there's restrictions on how many affordable rentals they need to have in there. So I think there are some
Now,
regulations that try to keep that in mind, but
I have to push back here.
Go ahead.
Seriously, the city owns, at one point, own a property. A request for proposal goes out. It's not right for the city to rig the system that certain individual groups are qualified to purchase or get possession of these properties,
Well,
that they turn them into rental housing.
I have to
When
g-
it's coming, hold on, when
Yep.
it's coming, the money is coming from the taxpayers.
mhm. I have to get you one of those bumper stickers that I saw in his car that says "Don't steal. The government hates competition," because that's what you're up against, right? You're not going to beat the, city hall in their own game. Those who make the rules control the outcome.
So
So
I'm curious, T. Michael, are you saying that you have city-owned property that goes out via an RFP, and then in terms of the process of who is eventually either wins the bid or is able to purchase the property, that you're saying that there's something going on there that's not above board?
And
absolutely. I have a recording of it.
Well, I think it's very similar to people are talking about with the White Stadium deal that's going on now, right? Where the city is claiming broke, but they're funneling money to a private institution. We know that happens, and this is where we talk about a lot of times on this show is accountability with our elected officials, because they only get away with what we allow them to.
That, and also just making sure that we have developers and builders in the city that care about some of the things that we care about. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it is free enterprise, and they're getting into this to make a profit. Yep. They're going to do what they need to do as far as the regulations go. But if we have people that are building in the city that look like you and I and that care about some of the things that we care about, maybe that might change, or maybe there would be a different pool of buyers that we could then hold accountable for that. But I do think that it's hard to make people do what we think is best.
And it sounds like what T. Michael is saying, though, that it is the people that are being picked or even being able to win those bids, that it's the process, is the skills.
It's rigged.
Tips,
I agree with him there.
Yeah.
But my thing is how do we
rigged.
add to the pool of buyers so we can then say, okay, well, no, why didn't they get picked?
Yeah, and I think that's part of the question I think T. Michael has for all of us, is about how he wants to bring visibility to it, and then also for any of our elected officials that may be listening, all right, be able to have them keep an eye on it and say there has to be a way that we can hold this process accountable and make it much more transparent, so that the people that are, like you mentioned, invested in the community, not only invested in profits, are the ones who.
But I think also to the point, as well, people, it's a trap in some ways, in my opinion, right? Is that normally, particularly people of color, get those properties with the expectation that they're building that wealth, like you said your friend was talking about. And I don't think that's explained to people in a way that they realize that what they're buying is not what they think they're buying, like a home, like most people do with a regular mortgage, and those deed restrictions. And then they go, okay, I built up some equity, and they see the price of housing, and they figure I can sell this now, maybe get something else somewhere else, and not realizing that very little of that is a return on their investment. And I think not enough of that explaining. And then instead of maybe pivoting people, explaining this is like what you did a very good job of explaining that if I'm talking, okay, now your friend understood that if you buy this is what comes with it, and this is the restrictions. And if it's going to be your forever, or you saying, okay, well, I'm going to pass that down to my daughter, so I'm not worried about that. But if I'm thinking of selling it in 5 years, this is probably not the investment or the program for you. But most people aren't aware of that. They find out when they go to sell or try to sell that the city owns more of it than they do.
1,000%. But I think, again, a lot of that, back to the purpose of this, is education. Align yourself with someone that...
And the first-time home buyer program?
Somebody that will answer the question, somebody that will point out something specific to you. I think, a lot of times we do get consumers that want to kind of do it on their own. And again, like I said, in efforts to not attach to somebody, but they don't necessarily get the full scope or the full story. So you have to attach to a real estate agent. You have to attach to a mortgage lender, and not just patronize them for the sake of getting the service. Hey, let me speak to a mortgage lender just so I can get a pre-approval. Actually talk to somebody like Cora and learn, because they do have knowledge and experience in the lending realm. So when it comes into getting education on mortgage interest rates, or what could make you have a leg up, or if it comes into affordable houses and what the benefits are, or what some of the cons are, you want to make sure that you actually have somebody that will really answer that question, and not just push you into a house because you say you want to buy a house.
Right. That's a lot to...
Well, I just want to expound on the affordable housing. You put a little money, you also make a little money. So that it's still a percentage. You still gain a little bit. but not as much as if you buy a regular home.
Absolutely. No,
So
it's better.
to buy a regular home, if you cannot afford it, then it's time to piggyback with family members, and that's what a lot of my clients are doing. They piggyback with each other, and then down the road, they just they can sell and split it, or
For sure.
somebody takes over.
There's a lot of options, whether down payment assistance, whether it's affordable housing. There are a lot of options out there, but get the education, learn, and figure out what makes the best sense for you.
No, absolutely.
Because
Do
even when
the
it
first
comes,
step.
I'll even say this: even when it comes to a lot of that down payment assistance, especially the grant money that Tasha's talking about. Remember, it's grant money. That money runs out at some point. And one thing I want to point out, specifically talking to our community, a lot of times, by the time that money comes out, it's gone, and we don't get it.
Right.
And part of that is because you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Because when that money comes out, a lot of times it's going to the people that are under contract already.
Right.
Because they're first in line, and they're going to go again, first come, first serve. So that makes sense to, again, align with somebody, understand your profile, and stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So when they announce that the down payment assistance is coming out, you've already looked at everything that's on the market. You know exactly what your position is, and you might find something that makes sense, so we can make a move to try to get it under contract and actually get you in line to get that down payment
So T.
assistance.
Michael, I think that this is, and Helen's going to jump. I think this is a perfect way of you collaborating, because T. Michael, I don't know if you're familiar with the People's Academy. T. Michael's is a coppersmith. He's been trying to erect a structure. He has the land at Quincy and Warren Street to put housing as well as a training for copies. Not one of the best coppersmith, an organization that I adamantly support. But I think when the people he brings in to train them, it would be perfect to have you guys in there working with his group of people, because potentially they're going to be home buyers, right? Sure. And to get them, when they're going through all the other process, to understanding the financial and all of what they need to do to prepare themselves to be homeowners. And when they graduate from T. Michael's and they're out there making money, they've already been trained and mentored in what they need to do to set themselves up for success, rather than going out and pulling up with that car that they may have to sleep in at some point, right? And it's not comfortable. So
T. Michael, anything we can do to collab, let us know, please.
Right.
So actually, that's a good point.
Let me say this, Larry, and I need your help on this, brother.
Sure.
To everyone on this call right now, I invite them to come to the People's Academy.
I will definitely bring them. I will definitely
Everyone on this call
you
right
guys
now.
should see what he's done over there. It's just amazing, the work that he's done and the people he's trained in the space. And he has valuable real estate over in Dorchester, and that he could be renting out for a lot more than he's not even getting, but using it to train folks so that they can train them for success, really. So T. Michael, I will definitely set that up with them. I'll make sure that you guys have each other's contact information. Thank you, sir. Want to grab some of the other calls?
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
And I have to catch up
Okay.
on things updates. Great show.
All right. I'll call you this afternoon. All right.
And I think this is a great time for
Yes.
for Kyle and Tasha and Cora to share their contact information again, right? So in case anyone,
Yeah.
for those that are in the process and maybe want to take advantage of some of those grant programs, and then those that want to start the process.
And I
Yes.
think
It's a
that
good
this
idea
is
to
going to be a
speak
great
with all of them.
collaboration with the people, because that's going to, and bringing Cora in as well, because those are people who are going to be making, six figures after that are going to be in that market to be able to be homeowners sooner than most folks who are not going to be getting that skill set, that training.
I have had attendees in my home buyer classes who's been, 2 years ago, and now they're ready. So because they're armed and they know what to do, and then they come back and
So Natasha, I know we're going to get your information before we go, but I want to, because there's been a lot of changes in the real estate. One of the biggest changes is that now it came into place, I think the last year, about whether or not you have to pay the broker. So is that So you can explain to people a little bit how that works now, like.
Yes.
there's a lot of misunderstanding on this.
Yes.
The buyers thought that
Right.
they're going to come up with that money. So
Right.
that's-
Yes.
So
So there have been a lot of changes
I'll
in
bring
real
you up a
estate.
little. Okay.
There have been a lot of changes in real estate over the last 2 years, and one of them specifically is in regards to the commission. So historically, a seller would hire a realtor, and a realtor says, "Hey, buyer's agent, bring me a able, willing, capable buyer, and I'll split that commission with you." So what they did change is now when you hire the realtor, you pay the realtor. So that's why a lot of people are backing away from hiring a realtor, and they're like, I don't want to pay that extra 2 or 3% to now utilize their services. And one thing that I always tell clients is if you're working with a really good realtor, they're going to be a top negotiator. So my job is I don't want you to come out of pocket and spend all of this money. If I know where the resources are, I know how to do my job, and I know how to negotiate, I'm going to alleviate you of some of that, or try to alleviate you through negotiations of some of that financial burden. So I do, put offers out, and I always negotiate or request, the sellers to pay a portion of it if we're putting out a really good offer. So it's competitive. I've already submitted a few offers for clients this year alone, and that's something I've had to negotiate. And I never want my clients to not win an offer because of my fee. So if we have to, discuss it and make sure, then that's something that we do as well.
And a lot of times, because you guys are reputable realtors, you already have a list of clients. So a lot of times, you tell people, do your homework, because if my house isn't sitting on the market and I've come to someone and they have a reputation, they're selling, I'd rather you get what you pay for it in essence, right? Or if it's sitting there and you're trying to for sale by owner, no one reads the paper any longer. So, I remember growing up, the real estate car section the paper was this thick. Now, you can't even use it for the dog. It's not thick enough.
Not enough.
And that's one thing we tell clients is like, we're investing into you as our clients before we even get paid.
And there's costs associated with that,
That, but we're going to do our part to not only exceed the expectation, but we're going to earn our keep. So, yes, there's a cost that's associated with it, but like you said, you get what you pay for. Get somebody that is going to give you your value, which is why I always ask, who are you working with? Are you attached to anybody? Because if you're not, I don't mind showing you what it's like to work with my team.
Yeah. Rose, did you have any other questions for them? Or do we lose?
No, not at this time.
Okay. All right. And Rose does financial literacy. So I think that's the piece that growing up, wasn't discussed in my home. My dad wasn't there. My mom worked hard, and I was very proud to be able to buy her a home way before she left this earth. But it also taught me about the home ownership, that investment was, because like anyone, you don't know what you don't know. And I thought a car and all those materialistic things were going to get me wealthy, and really what has made a change in my life. And now for my family, because we're living in in a way that I would have never imagined based on my start, and this is why I appreciate what you guys are coming in and willing to share with people to help them, right? Because sharing is caring. So.
Yeah. Sounds like a good opportunity for partnership there. Then Rhodes with the financial literacy, Cora with the first-time home buyers
Academy
program, and then you have you have T. Michael Thomas People's Academy,
and we have Pastor Wall here, so he'll officiate this marriage.
Let's make it happen.
And Cora with he's here.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah,
so all that combined could help a lot of people to go towards that goal of home ownership. Right?
So we've got a few minutes left,
and we do a lot of first-time home buyer seminars as well. So definitely keep an eye out for the stuff that Cora is doing. We should probably put something together as well. But Tasha teaches a lot of the courses that are ran by the city, as the chapel courses.
Oh, and if you can leave all your contact information.
Yeah, that's why I was going to go around with that. Because also, I was the former president of MAMLEO, the Minority Police. We're at Columbia Road. Right. And so we always open that for these type of things at no cost, because we feel like the payoff is invested in the community. That's why we do this broadcast. We pay for this time to be able to bring this information, not just a law enforcement perspective, but what can help our community, because we know we're the ones who, like I said, some folks catch cold, we get pneumonia. So we'll start with you, Kyle. Your contact information again one more time, sir.
So again, my phone number is 617-405-8030. My website is xanderrealtygroup.com, and you can also find me on social media. My Instagram is I Hustle Houses.
Yeah, and then if you come in the next 10 minutes, you can find them right here.
Yes.
I'm here.
Natasha.
Yeah, so my name is Natasha Smith Duran. I am realtor with Xander Realty Group. My phone number is 617-219-9377. And if you're on social media, you can find me at TashaTaughtMe_. And I do have some CHAPA certified courses coming up next week with Urban Edge, and then next month with the Common Square NDC. So I do teach some of those courses on a monthly basis.
And Cora, your information, we have it all the time anyways, but just...
Yeah, Cora Holbrook from The Money Store. I am located in downtown Boston. and you can reach me at 508-345-4726.
I have that.
You can also look into themoneystore.com dash Cora Holbrook.
At the
for
money
my
store.
website.
Who says money doesn't grow on trees?
Yes.
Anything we didn't cover? We got about 2 minutes. Anything that you guys felt like we didn't cover? I know it's a lot, and we definitely have to have you back as a regular.
Maybe a closing tip.
Yeah.
If you had to give a tip, one tip to a new home buyer, whether it be first time or just a home buyer, what would you give? Go around the table.
I'm gonna keep the same theme. Start with the education.
Yes.
The education.
Definitely book a free consult. As I mentioned, we don't get paid in the beginning, so definitely don't be afraid to sit down with the realtor and have a conversation.
Knowledge is power.
Yep. Keep searching and getting information, and call us.
Yes.
Call us, we answer, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that invited us here, to everybody that participated and called in. Hopefully we provided some value.
Well, I think it
Going with that theme of education, right?
absolutely, and this is what this is. This is why you say we've been doing a campaign, because we pay for our time here, but what we're trying to do is generate so we can have a weekday broadcast to bring this information in real time during the week. We're on all the social medias, we're on the FM, but we can't wait till every Saturday to inform the community. Things are happening in real time, and we need to be able to get this information out there. Want to thank Cora, Kyle, and Natasha for coming in this morning. You've been listening to At the Round Table with MAMLEO. Goes by fast. They're now going to be part of our regular team. Look forward to them. Thank the Money Store and Cora for her sponsorship here.
Thank you.
Helen, thank you. You've been listening at the Round Table with MAMLEO. God willing, we'll be back next Saturday at 7 a.m.
Thank you, Larry, for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya. No, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the